It is often used in today's information era to mean engineering or software documentation, which is usually paper book or computer reliable file that describe the structure of components or on the other hand operation of a system product. In adult education we refer to documentation in sense of keeping a record of activity undertaken by the adult education organization project. The documented material become a useful resource for its creator as well as for others interested in carrying out similar activities. Good documentation in crucial data to a data collection's long-term vitality. Without it, the resource will not be suitable for future use of its provenance will be lost. Proper documentation contributes substantially to all a data collection scholarly value. At a minimum, documentation should provide information about a data collection's context, provenance, and structures, and the term and conditions that apply to its use. Its need to be sufficiently detailed to allow the data creator to use the resource in the future. When the data creation process has started to fade from memory, it also needs to be compressive though to enable others to explore the resource fully and detail the enough to allow someone who has not been involved in the data creation process to understand the data collection and the process by which it was created. Documentation applying processes such as reformulation, revision, cataloging, and indexing has proved to be most useful to support learning and information acquisition and absorption. Documentation from lateral documents to be thought is the output result of a whole set of packaging and repackaging operations performed ideally by individuals working collaboratively in groups within the same organization structure. Daily event, current interaction, occasionally conversions, as well as planned meetings establish the condition for information to flow through different media and in many on various ways and created the context for the accurate understanding of the organization culture by and in large. Information may be coming in various flow and waves to be filtered, characterized and organized as to be accessible and reusable for different purposes at different time. As soon as some information is found to be relevant has to become stabilized and be tuned into a document, then the need to store information in ways which is to be made fully transparent become a major issue. Information packaging based upon both topic continuity and context consistency is a most fundamental process upon which accurate and timely decision making resides. Availability and accessibility of package of information is document formats need to support by an enhanced labeling system which may help speed up efficient retrieval. In other words, each document or piece of documents will have to label according to qualitative reasoning upon the nature of information, reshuffling, scattered pieces of information coming in textual form and formats has to turn them into thought thoroughly organized documentation packages accordingly to the diversified set of needs and priorities, and depending upon continuously changing scenarios entails a specific competence and cannot be subject to arbitrary and occasional decision making. Documentation organized and built up according to such view does also contributes a tremendously rich response repository for collective memories within an organization, and does create the context for interpretation and understanding of present and past conditions. The maintenance of comprehensive documentation dealing the data creation process and the step taken involve a significant but profitable investment of time and resources. It is more effective if documentation is generated during rather than after the project. Such as approach will result in better quality data collection as well as better quality documentation because a maintenance of proper documentation demand consistency and attention to detail. The process of documentation of the project can also have benefit of helping to refine research questions, and it can be a vital aid to communication in large projects. Through documentation, we create and provide an interpretive infrastructure to a whole organization, referring to the various definitions of the term. Documentation provided by Webster's Dictionary, Third International Edition. Let us especially focus on following one. Documentation is the provision. Good documentation is a crucial to a data collection long-term vitality. Without it, resource will be suitable for future use and its prevalence will be low. Lost proper documentation contributes substantially to a data collection scholarly value. At a minimum, documentation should provide information about a data collection's context, prevalence, and structure, and the term and conditions that apply to its use. It needs to be sufficiently detailed to allow the data creator to use the resource in the figure. When the data creation process has been started, of footnotes, appendices, or addenda referring to or containing dictionary evidence in verification of fact or in support of theory in a piece of writing, and the assembling, coding, and disseminating of records knowledge comprehensively treated as an internal procedure utilizing semantics, tech, psychological, and medical techniques of reproduction of forgiving documentary information, maximum accessibility and usability. Okay, to fade from memory, it is also need to be compressive enough to enable other exploring the result fully and detailed, even though to allow someone who has not been involved in the data creation process to understand the data collection and the process by which it was created for the range of documentation related activities. See box one by one. Here is Activity one by one. Read the above paragraph carefully and write on a separate sheet of paper answer to the following simple questions. Then what are documentation amplifying process? Who perform the packaging and repackaging operation of document? Third one is what establish the conditions for information to flow through different media? Why should information storing be transparent? Why are topic continuously and context consistency major issues in information packaging? Next one is why is labeling system important in documentation? Seventh one is why does reshuffling of documents material require special competence? 8. How collective memories are important in documentation in an organization. 9. Should documentation be generated during or after a project implementation? 10. Keeping in mind the dictionary meaning of documentation, what is, in your opinion, the main concern of documents in the field of adult education? You have to write these answers for this question carefully. These questions may ask in your last examination. Okay, reflection. Are there more documents related activities than mentioned in box 1.1? If yes, then include those your range of documentation. Okay, here is box 1.1 range of documents related activity. Document design and development on paper and or more online. Object management for documentation projects. Proofreading, editing, and related document queries assures activity indexing. Consideration on software tool for documents development and publications. Documentation management is bound to accuracy, motivation, and responsibility shown by individual involved in the process of the document creation and further development throughout a whole sea of traditional lack of these elements replically affects the way information flow are pre-received, okay, monitored and channeled within an organization structure. See box 1.1 on life cycle of documents. 1.1 Box documentation life cycle, a sequence of a cost that comprise the process of developing and maintaining documentations is called documentation life cycle. The term life cycle is used to indicate that as for living things, sequence of tasks that comprise the process of developing and maintaining documentation is document life cycle. The term life cycle is used to indicate the It is for living things. Any human activities repeats after a period of time. Documentation cost. Documentation cost, so it must be indicated in your event budget. How much you actually spend depends on the method that you choose. If you want to a professional to document your event, it in a good idea to get a number of quotes and be clear about what it is you want to document. Remember to look at way of making the chapter. Box 1.3. Tips for ways of making documentation cost effective. Here are the few steps for you to bring the cost of document down. First one is the local camera shop or photography students may be interested in photographing the event. The camera shop could display some of the photos in the store and sell copies to the community. Local college or schools who have access to audiovisual equipment may wish to video the event as well as project, or they may be willing to supply equipment. If you do have a play of for documentations locally, local professional will probability do it a lot chapter if there is a chance that they will get some free advertising for their businesses. Okay. Activity 1.2. Describe the process of documentation that has executed in your workplace and discuss how you can improve it. Explain as to what will be the benefit of the improvement suggested by you. Think on the question and write down the answer. Evaluation as a part of document. Evaluation is an important aspect of any event in your organization or project because it allows you to reflect on what has taken place and think about future planning. It is important to provide all those who participated with an opportunity to comment on the event. Once it is over, there will be a chance to review the event. This highlights and its shortcoming and should be an ode to future planning. Okay, to future planning. Evaluation can provide a chance to make a critical assessment of the event, to state lesson learned, to identify the outcome, to review the aim and objectives, to identify problem, and to debrief the workers, participants, and the community. Okay, ideally, as many people are involved in the event should be involved in the education. The will guarantee a more realistic account of the event. It should involve monitoring all the processes of the event from the beginning of the end. The task. of monitoring particular aspects of the event can be delegated to committee member. For example, the person responsible for publicity may collect all clippings. Coordinating the evaluate may fall into the hands of the event coordinator or to someone from outside. There are a number of ways in which your event can be evaluated. This will be influenced by your objectives and actions. If for example the main aim of the event is to abstract as many people as people you should, then you would evaluate the event in terms of numbers and audience size. Hopefully your evaluation will extend it much further than only quantitative judgment and consider the range of experiences that the community gain from the event. For the most comprehensive evaluation, use a variety of both quantitative and qualitative judgment. Evaluation can be approached in a number of ways, but there are two main approaches to evaluating a project: process evaluation and outcome evaluation. This is a continual evaluation strategy that occurs during the life of the project. This type of evaluation need to build it in the regular activity during the lead up to the event. Outcome evaluation is an evaluation strategy that occurs upon conclusion of the project. There are advantages in strategy. The method you choose will affect the type of information you will have at a time. Okay, outcome evaluation is perhaps the most common method and usually taken the form of general meeting and the report. External evaluation. Another way of evaluating is to get someone not involved in your event to do it. However, it adopts this method, it is crucial that the person is very familiar with the aim and the objectives. So your event provide them with a cleaner brief so that they can anywhere else view even in the appropriate way. They should commence their evaluations before the event starts and attended the event day. Considerably fee may be paid to a person. Activity 1.3: describe in terms of methods of evaluation. If an event in your organization was ever evaluated, if not, then describe if you have ever been an evaluator or any adult education program. In case you have not encountered either or above two situations, then construct an imaginary situation in which you are plan evaluated of work instead without method. specific purpose in a readily usable form and in the short possible time. The nature of the such work varies in different types of documentation centers and is determined by the time pass types and range of range of uh, clientele. It is designed to serve. Thus, the nature of documentation generalizes service research institute or an industrial enterprise or a commercial organization is entirely entirely different both in objective of documentary collection as well as the range of services offered. In an adult education sector, it is expected that it is expected that adult educators carry out documentation of every important event, starting from planning of individual survey of together target learners to sanction of a project to implementation, its evaluation, success and low falls. Okay, start shortcoming to recommendation by external evaluating agencies, meetings, day-to-day activities, financial expenditure, communication, documentation of successful activity, vocational skill development program, booklets, magazines, newsletters, publications developed internally and procedure procured internally manpower and their training and functions, etc. Being a multi-factor actor in a professional, an adult educator has to perform the task required knowledge of documentation. Let us now look at two types of documentation, namely documenting an event and documenting celebrations. Please note that in Unit 2, you will read about two more types of documentation, namely documenting digital event and software documentation. Okay, documenting an event is useful for recording experiences that capture the atmosphere and reflect the experience of the event. Okay, reusing when organizing your next event, also representing to funding bodies of sponsors who have associated your event, presenting to possible future funding bodies or sponsors or interested parties in evaluation and consideration of good and bad points of your event. Most of the recording for documentation will be done on the day of the event. However, it may be useful to document some of pre-event activities. See box 1.4 on the list of documents to be recorded. Okay. Recording of useful documents. Okay, using the following documents can record what happened at the event. Okay, press clippings, collect all press clippings from newspapers that have article about your event. There are service available that will do this it for the change. Okay, photography and slides. Photographs are commonly used to document events because they are fairly inexpensive, easy to organize, and provide a good result. Sites are useful for professional to large group of people. Photo, video tapping, digital recording, video tapping or digital recording is a great way to document your event. A little more expensive, but the extra animation and the exclusive of sound provide much more realistic recording. It is good idea to edit your video to a short and concise 5 minutes if you want to use it for future presentation. A short larger tape is more interesting and useful to event plastic. Radio and TV recording. Record audio announcements, interviews, advertisement if your event is lucky through. Even though to receive television coverage, try to ensure it is recorded. Many events may a minimum a stage of event. The day's activity can be tape recorded, the edit and tipped up at a later date. Okay, sound recording is there. Sometimes as proceeding of the event are recorded in cassette or CD. Speeches speed made the distribution held are recorded so that nothing of importance is missed. Surveys make a collection of comments from people who attend the event as well as those involved in the event. These comments can be gathered through written evaluation, letter of support, or through tape recording on the day. Writing evaluation form. Writing evaluation, letter of support, or through the tape recording on the day. Written evaluation form is carefully constructed It is also an opportunity to record a written evaluation for is carefully constructed. It is also an opportunity to gather statistics about satisfaction level at the event, which can then be used for sponsors, reports, finding application, and so on. General meeting hold a general meeting about 2 weeks after the day of the event involved all these involved in the planning, implementation, and participation of the event include the stakeholders, performance, key organizers, sponsors, staff, and key community group. The purpose of the meeting will be to be gather a collection of views of the event as a whole. The form this meeting takes is for the organizers to decide, and informal tones is probably best so that people feel confident and relaxed about playing employee in the evaluating process. At this meeting, the particular area canvas note for their evaluation report. Discussion of the event can be started by getting everyone's to comment on the what each participants want to well or okay could have been done better. Problems that were fixed should be disciplined, and solutions suggested as and implemented for the future. All opinions and thoughts referred to written of the evaluation report. Avoid backstabbing and personal gripes during the process. Putting together an analysis report after gathering people perspectives on the event. It is good idea to collect the data information and present it in a form of report. The report need to contain the following material: aim and objectives, successful and unsuccessful aspect of the event. Okay. Next is people's response, collection of press clippings, photographs, financial statement, event program, and other proportional publicity material, further direction and commendations for the further documenting celebration. Documentation is done to capture importance medical important historical moment, to increase awareness and interest in the relationship between the past and present, and to provide a model for further celebration. See box 1.5 on what and how who to document. What and who to document. All aspects of the celebration should be documented, such as meetings, organizational and planning, programs and events, newsletters and publications. Planners are there, committee members are there, sponsors are there, participant and audience also be there. Okay, material documenting celebration to generally include the following documents: personal journals published and printed, material, photograph, film and videos, photograph, grid histology. Besides paying attention to each milestone for documentation, you need to put emphasis remembering celebration through documentation. In addition, you may also like to know about event historian and time capsules, important aspect of documenting celebrations. Let us discuss in brief each of the 4 points. Where to place the documentation. The material documenting an important celebration would be secured, should be placed in a permanent location or repository where the records are kept secure, organized, and accessible to. Permanent location would be any of the following places: the archive of the sponsoring organization, the local historical society with the local government historian, the public library, local history collection, a local government records tab repository, a college or uniform archery, or special collection data. Remembering and documenting celebration. Celeb- Celebration should be remembered and documented. The depth of documentation will be different for annual events and for special events as well as conventional. Annual celebration can be documented with administrative records for the event. There will probably to be need for the additional efforts. And second one is special celebration. Special celebration that involve a wide variety of community members will need to have to specific documentation efforts built in the form of very beginning. Okay, this is enough for today. Next, for continuing second lecture of 6 to 8. Okay, bye bye.